Hello, my name is Charles Darwin, and I'm here to speak to you about the 5 concepts with which I derived in order to understand descent with modification, what you now know as the theory of evolution. The first premise that I came up with and concluded from my studies in the Galapagos Islands and other places as well was that of the non-constancy of species. And what that means is that every species over time is not going to be the same. There's going to be variation, there's going to be changes that happen from generation to generation. And that will result in modification as different organisms descend over an extended period of time. Another is that there was descent from a common ancestor. So when we look at all the features that are present within an organism, we can look at different populations and we can trace back ancestors. Based upon my observations, it's possible to trace them back to ancestors millions of years ago. And within those ancestors, there's one common ancestor that helps to connect all living organisms. Now, in order for this to take place, it moves on to my third premise, which is the gradualness of evolution. The human mind is very fragile in trying to conceptualize time. Given enough years, it is possible to see the diversity that we see today that is present in all different types of species. Obviously, my major focus was the finches. I also examined tortoises and other species. And looking at that, you can tell that over time, given thousands or millions of years, something that the human mind just had a very difficult time grasping. But it is possible for this modification to take place and for these ancestors to branch off and to form new species. In order to form those new species, that leads to my fourth premise, which is the multiplication of those species. So you cannot just have a replacement of one-to-one. The species must multiply, and given enough time, it is possible for this to take place. By multiplying, you will see them being modified as well, and you will see different features that take place over time, just as the finches over time had their beaks modified to suit the needs that were available to them in terms of their food sources, areas within their trees, so on and so forth. And the last is natural selection. And this is where nature helps to select the traits that are beneficial for that organism in order to survive. The mechanism with which natural selection takes place, in my view, is through that of sexual selection. And sexual selection is a major component, choosing different mates with certain features that need to be passed down to future generations. And so that was one of the major topics under natural selection that I came up with. So natural selection basically states the traits that are good will be passed down and will be inherited by future offspring, and those that are not will not be inherited. It's the basic concept. It's similar in nature to that of my contemporary South Poles. It's just the mechanism with which this takes place that we differ very slightly. I hope this has been beneficial to you in understanding the 5 major areas of which I spoke about what you know to be the theory of evolution. Good day.